Well, in the interest of this amazing all-star panel that we have assembled here today, I think we should try to start approximately on time. Thank you all for logging on to the Fresno Chamber of Commerce SBU program. Today's topic is California State Resources for Small Business, and we are joined by our mayor, Jerry Dyer, who's going to kick this thing off. And we just couldn't be happier to see you all here.
Well, thank you, Scott, and thank you to the chamber and for our state treasurer and other state folks that are online with us. Appreciate that. It's my honor to be able to welcome all of you. One of the highest priorities I have in the city of Fresno is inclusive economic development. And we certainly rely heavily on our small businesses, as they are the somewhat of the economic driver in terms of local revenues here. And I know that a lot of our businesses throughout the state of California, but in particular Fresno, have gone through some challenging times through COVID. Now that we're coming out of the pandemic, you know, some of them are still feeling the impact, you know, especially with a lack of capital to survive. And then you toss on top of that the inflation issues that are out there, rising cost of energy with PG&E, shortage of employees, and which makes for a much more competitive job market, and people demanding higher pay. So I think this is a good time, Scott, for us to be able to host this seminar and learn about some of the resources that are available at the state level. So with that, I get to introduce our state treasurer, and as I have in the past, and it's an honor to be able to do that. I know that she's traveling today to San Diego, but I wanted to just read a brief intro on our state treasurer, Fiona Ma. Fiona Ma is California's 34th state treasurer. She was elected on November 6, 2018 with more votes, 7.8 million votes, than any other candidate for treasurer in the state's history. She's the first woman of color and the first woman certified public accountant elected to the position. The state treasurer's office was created in California Constitution 1849. It provides financing for schools, roads, housing, recycling and waste management, hospitals, public facilities, and other crucial infrastructure projects that better the lives of residents in California. California is the world's 5th largest economy, and Treasurer Ma is the state's primary banker. Her office processes more than $2 trillion in transactions within a typical year. She provides transparency and oversight for the government's investment portfolio accounts, as well as for the state's surplus funds. Treasurer Ma oversees an investment portfolio that has averaged well over $100 billion during her administration, a significant portion of which is beneficially owned by more than 2,200 local governments in California. She serves as agent of sale for all state bonds and is trustee of billions of dollars of state indebtedness. And so it is my honor as the mayor of Fresno to be able to introduce to you the ageless state treasurer, Fiona Ma. Fiona?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. And it's great to see you. And I know you're doing so well. My sister lives in Fresno, and I just visited with her last week, and she said Fresno's doing great. So thank you also for reaching out to me when you first got elected about resources. And so today, I think you will get a deep dive into all of the different resources that you may tap into as the mayor. I'm just going to talk about a couple of the programs that are not going to be talked about here today. I have a sales tax exemption program. This is an incentive to try to get companies to buy big equipment that's going to clean and green the environment. They can apply. It is a competitive process. And if they win, they will be able to waive that sales tax. So I don't know what Fresno is right now, maybe 10% or so. But that is a game changer for many. And since 2014, we have awarded sales tax exemptions to Touchstone Pistachio, Mid-Valley Disposal, and several biogas and biodiesel manufacturers in Fresno. I also chair the California Hospital Finance Authority, and we fund and finance children's hospitals, clinics, community hospitals. And since 2020, the Fresno area has received almost $70 million in loans to improve hospitals and clinics. And then CIDLAC, I oversee the tax credits and the bonds that goes to build affordable housing. And we set aside a rural component, also a allocation for farm worker housing. So I know that Fresno has received a lot of funding from us recently in the last 5 years, about $209 million in tax exempt low cost financing for affordable housing in the county. And then I just want to touch upon my 4 savings programs. CalSavers, Carolina is going to be talked about, so I won't talk about that right now. Also have 529, try to keep our young people out of high student loan debt. Along with that, the governor and the legislature allocated $1 billion a couple of years ago that is going to go toward new child savings accounts. This is for kids, but the parents and guardians must register. And so that's what we're trying to do, because we know a lot of kids will probably qualify. Any newborn born right now will get $100 in their child savings account, and any 1st through 12th grader on free and reduced lunch will get $500. If they're a foster youth, they'll get another $500. And if they are homeless, they'll get another $500. So even if you're a senior, you could possibly get up to $1,500 right now that'll go toward your college education, but we need you to sign up. And then the last program that is rolling out right now is Hope Accounts. These are for children who have lost one or both parent in COVID, due to COVID, or long-time foster youth. So these are, again, this administration is really committed to trying to keep children out of poverty, lift them out, build some, equity so that they have a fighting chance in life. And so those are a couple. Oh, and one more, CalAble. If you have a disability before the age of 26 years old, you can save up to $17,000 in that person's name right now without jeopardizing the other life and safety benefits. It only used to be $2,000. And in 2 years, the age of onset for disability is going to go to 46 years old. So this will cover another 7 million Americans, potentially 1 million veterans who do get hurt after 26 years old. So this is a game changer for people with disabilities. So I know you have a long list of speakers. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at askfiona@treasure.ca.gov. That is askfiona@treasure.ca.gov. And I have one amazing team member, Catherine, asked me, that's all she does, is she tries to help constituents resolve their issues. So send them over. It doesn't have to do with the Treasury. Just send them over. If you have any questions, can't get through to an 800 number, no one's calling you back, you're not sure whether you got a scam letter, just send it over to us and we're here to help. So thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it back over to Scott.
Treasurer
Thank you,
Moff,
Fiona.
thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you also for introducing our Valley Business Awards via video recently. That was a very successful event, and we were so happy to have you participate. And thank you also, Mayor Dyer. And a big thank you, as always, to Noble Credit Union, our sponsor for this series. They've been with us for several years now and provide lots of financial educational opportunities to the citizens of Fresno County. Today, I think probably the easiest way is to do the introductions sequentially. If that works for everybody. We've got so much information, starting with Clair Whitmer from GOBIZ. Are you with us, Claire?
Here I am, Scott.
Thank you so much. And Jaylene, we had a request in the chat to enable subtitles. I'm not sure how to do that, but hopefully you can work on that. We do have everything, as I mentioned, everything is being recorded. So thanks again, and you have the floor, Claire.
Thank you so much. Again, my name is Claire Whitmer. I'm the Northern California Regional Advisor for the California Office of the Small Business Advocate, which is part of the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. So, of course, you will have noticed that I did not say Central California. I am substituting today for my Central California colleague, Linda Quinones-Vaughn, who is organizing her own event this afternoon in Fresno. I did work and live in Fresno for 2 years, so I'm very happy to see some familiar faces, including my old boss, Mayor Dyer. Nice to see you. And my job today is to give an overview of our office and our current programs. So the entire PowerPoint is available as a PDF. I will put that email and Linda's into the chat after I finish my presentation, so don't worry about taking notes. Next slide, please. So just to start with our mission and objectives, all of our programs and initiatives, and we are carrying 19 programs this year, all correspond basically to 4 objectives. Number 1, we connect small business owners to resources that they need to start, manage, and grow their businesses. We curate, fund, and oversee a statewide business support network to help entrepreneurs access capital and new markets. We advance resiliency through disaster preparedness and economic recovery. For example, we just recently launched the Outsmart Disaster Business Interruption Training Program, and we'll be expanding that this year. And we drive economic mobility and wealth building through entrepreneurship. To that end, did you know that 46% of California's 4.2 million small business owners are Hispanic or racial minorities? And this is why our mission is always to make sure that those small business services, everything we do, are available to Californian entrepreneurs across every zip code and in all of our languages, to women, racial minorities, Hispanics, tribal peoples, veterans, business owners with disabilities, undocumented business owners, LGBTQ business owners, and entrepreneurs in low wealth, rural, and disaster impacted communities. And we have a couple of successful programs to that end in Fresno that I will highlight shortly. Next slide, please. But our main tool in achieving that goal is our network of small business centers across the state. This year, thanks to $23 million in new permanent funding, we have 102 such centers across the state. You will recognize SBDCs, women's business centers, procurement technical assistance centers, veterans business operating centers. They are all in the network, but we also include community-based nonprofits. For example, in Fresno, the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce and the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation are both technical assistance providers. And I spend a lot of my time convincing small business owners to take advantage of these resources, which provide no-cost one-to-one counseling and training. They are the best resource a small business owner can use. I tell them always that if they were a Fortune 500 CEO, they would have access to a board of directors and an executive team. Californian entrepreneurs have the Small Business Center Network, and you can find the map on our website. Next slide, please. The governor has also invested these monies this year in order to expand that ecosystem for small business support, and $20 million in additional monies for the Accelerate California Inclusive Innovation Hubs. And I'm going to come back to this one in a minute. That $20 million will expand services from 10 to 13 iHubs. We are also doing, for the first time ever, the California Regional Initiative for Social Enterprises. And this is $25 million in technical assistance monies to support social enterprises. And those are companies that self-identify as for-profit businesses with financial goals, but also with community benefits goals. And $8 million in additional funding for women's business centers across the state. Next slide, please. So I said I would come back to the Accelerate in California Inclusive Innovation Hubs, and this is because there is a very successful example in Fresno. The iHub program is designed to stimulate partnerships, economic development, and job creation for underserved geographic areas and industry sectors. And in Fresno, you will know it as the Water, Energy, and Technology Center, but it is also this year a designated Central Valley iHub, and it is collaborating with Chico Start and Clean Start to promote entrepreneurship to BIPOC, rural, and underserved communities throughout California. And it just turned in its first year reporting, and I want to congratulate and recognize the Central Valley iHub for its successes this year, including the Fall 2022 Valley Ventures Accelerator Program that was conducted from September to December and included 9 separate businesses in a cohort-based program. And that is the kind of program that it has been doing that allows it to report numbers like this. The Central Valley iHub has supported 264 entrepreneurs in the Central Valley this year, including 63 women, 35 Asian business owners, 41 rural-based business owners, and 75 business owners in low-wealth communities. The Central Valley iHub has created 127 mentor matches and helped support 110 business starts, creating over $100,000 in contracts in revenue and 171 jobs. So again, congratulations to the Central Valley iHub and its partners, some of which I see on this call here today. Next slide, please. So just to point out a couple of new direct relief grant programs coming out of our office very shortly. And the first one is, of course, relevant to the Central Valley, the Small Agricultural Business Drought Relief Grant Program. This is $75 million in direct grants to small farmers. And it is ironic that this program is being stood up now in a year when farmers are also worried about too much water on their cropland. But this will reflect economic distress that was suffered during the last 2 drought years. We are also standing up the Small Business and Nonprofit COVID-19 Supplemental Paid Sick Leave Relief Grant Program. We really like the long names at CALOSBA. And that is $150 million for qualified businesses with 26 to 49 employees who already incurred expenses for COVID-19 supplemental paid sick leave in 2022. Businesses are no longer obligated to pay that supplemental paid sick leave, but for the expenses they incurred last year, this will help offset that expense. And I said that these programs are both just about to be released. So I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter to receive updates about these programs. Just go to our website, calosba.ca.gov. Next slide, please. Now, the California Microbusiness COVID-19 Relief Grant Program, and this is the last one that I will mention today, it's actually closed in Fresno County. According to my programs team, who I checked in with this morning, this was administered by Fresno County. And in Fresno County, it was nearly $1.3 million in funding for grants of $2,500 to the smallest of the small micro businesses with 1 to 5 employees that earned $50,000 or less in primary revenue. This was a difficult program for a lot of counties, so I want to congratulate Fresno in getting all of its monies out. Not every county has achieved that yet. And again, it went to the smallest of the small administered by Fresno County. So we have other programs coming out this year, but I will wrap it up there and simply to say thank you for including our office and thank you to Fresno for having us today. I will put my email in the chat if you would like the rest of this. There are additional programs, but I see some of our partners on this call today, so I will defer to them.
Thank you so much for being here. And we will be taking questions throughout in the Q&A area or in the chat, and we'll answer them all at the end. Next up, we have Megan Hodapp. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from the Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank.
Hi, good morning. Yes, you did pronounce it correctly. My name is Megan Hodapp. I am the manager of the Small Business Finance Center at IBANK, and I'm going to kind of overview our programs and give you an idea of how to access them. First, thank you for having us here today. Thanks to the Fresno Chamber and also the State Treasurer's Office. Next slide, please. The California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank, or IBANK, was created in 1994. IBANK has broad statutory authority to issue tax-exempt and taxable revenue bonds, to provide loans to state and local governments and nonprofits for public infrastructure and economic development projects, and loan guarantees to help small businesses. IBANK's current programs include the Infrastructure State Revolving Fund Program, Bond Financing Program, as well as the Small Business Finance Center. In addition, IBANK created the California Lending for Energy and Environmental Needs, or the CLEAN Center, and the Climate Catalyst Fund to help meet the state's greenhouse gas reduction goals. Next slide, please. The Small Business Loan Guarantee Program received seed money in 1968 to help reduce unemployment by supporting entrepreneurship and small businesses. Through Governor Jerry Brown's reorganization plan in 2013, the program was transferred to the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, or GOBIZ. The Small Business Financial Assistance Act of 2013 placed the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program under the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank, or IBANK, and renamed it the Small Business Finance Center to more accurately represent its many functions. The Small Business Finance Center remains there today as a vital resource, removing barriers for small business owners and helping them access much needed capital for their businesses. The Small Business Finance Center promotes statewide economic development by increasing opportunities for entrepreneurs, people who are self-employed, and small business owners by ensuring access to capital and other technical resources. We provide credit enhancements in the form of loan guarantees, both traditional loan guarantees and disaster recovery loan guarantees, direct loans to farmers, direct loans to low wealth entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs located in low wealth communities, and technical assistance. In any of the guarantee programs, if the borrower defaults on the loan, the lender liquidates the collateral and then files a claim for the guaranteed percentage of the remaining balance of the loan. This process mitigates some of the risk for lenders who make loans to small businesses and allows them to feel more comfortable lending to small businesses. Next. The Small Business Loan Guarantee Program incentivizes lenders to make loans to small businesses by offering guarantees up to 80% of eligible loan amounts with a $5 million guarantee maximum. The program can support loans up to $20 million. The maximum guarantee term is 7 years. These loans can be used for a variety of purposes, including startup costs, construction, inventory, working capital, and more. A small business can access the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program by reaching out to one of our financial development corporations or to one of our participating lenders. Next. The Disaster Relief Loan Guarantee Program was created to help businesses recover from a declared disaster. The loan guarantees provided by the Disaster Relief Loan Guarantee Program help mitigate barriers to capital for small businesses that have suffered a loss, either physical or economic, due to a disaster. The maximum disaster loan amount is $1.25 million, and they can be guaranteed up to 95% of the loan or a $1 million maximum, whichever is less of the two. The guarantee percentage is determined by the interest rate charged on the loan. The maximum guarantee term is 7 years. In April of 2020, IBANK received a $50 million general fund allocation to target small businesses needing help to overcome economic injuries caused by COVID-19. Loan proceeds for the COVID-19 microloan program must be used for business continuance and to cure a significant economic injury as the result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The maximum COVID-19 loan amount is $200,000, and they can be guaranteed up to 95% of the loan. The guarantee percentage is also determined by the interest rate on the loan. Next. The Federal American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 included a $10 billion reauthorization of the Federal State Small Business Credit Initiative, or SSBCI, which was initially created in 2010 to strengthen state programs that support financing of small businesses. California will receive approximately $1.2 billion split between two departments, IBANK and the California Pollution Control Financing Authority, housed at the State Treasurer's Office. The funding will come in 3 tranches over the course of the program. We received our first tranche of funds in the fall of 2022. California had 3 existing programs: the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program, the California Capital Access Program, and the Collateral Support Program. IBANK has also developed and launched a venture capital program, though it's still kind of in its initial stages. The Small Business Loan Guarantee Program will receive approximately $390 million of the total allocation to California over the course of the program. These guarantees are accessed the same way as our traditional loan guarantee program, and a business would want to reach out to either one of our FDCs or a participating lender from the list. Next, please. The Small Business Finance Center programs are facilitated by 7 financial development corporations, or FDCs. The FDCs were created in the California Corporations Code to help the Small Business Finance Center administer its programs throughout the state. Each FDC is a nonprofit corporation with general responsibilities for marketing and administering Small Business Finance Center programs. As mission-based organizations, the FDC support small businesses and stimulate economic growth in underserved communities. While each FDC is unique, as a group, they utilize a combination of federal, state, local, and private resources and provide non-conventional community development financing in underserved communities and sectors of small business. And then I just wanted to point out that there is actually a financial development corporation in Fresno, Valley Small Business Development Corporation. It's on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Next slide, please. Not only are the FDCs experts in their own fields, many of them are also lenders themselves and administer other programs for governmental and financial partners. Beyond facilitating loan programs and technical assistance, FDCs leverage local and statewide partnerships to ensure small businesses have access to the resources they need. FDC staff members are active economic development participants in their own communities. They speak a wide variety of languages, and many of them are small business owners themselves. They donate their time to leadership positions on boards, loan committees, community organizations, and economic development groups. Staff members come from a wide range of backgrounds and are representative of the communities in which they are located. Next. As I stated earlier, in order to access any of our Small Business Finance Center programs, including the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program and the SSBCI program, a small business would need to reach out to one of our 7 FDCs or one of our participating lenders. You can find this list on our website, which is www.ibank.ca.gov. This is a screenshot of our current cover page, which has a link to this list circled and highlighted in red. The FDCs are not geographically restricted, but it's typically the easiest to reach out to the one closest to your business. Like I mentioned, there is one directly in Fresno, so I would suggest reaching out to them directly. The lenders on the list also have the area in which they serve to help the small businesses navigate the list. Most of the lenders in our program are either smaller community banks or community development financial institutions that are mission-based and serve a specific community, oftentimes underserved or underrepresented communities. Next. And that is it for my overview of the programs. On the screen are the 3 different emails if you have any questions. For general Small Business Finance Center questions, you would email the top one, SBFC programs. For anything related to SSBCI, you would email SSBCI. And any questions regarding the venture capital program, you would email vc@ibank.ca.gov. And then there's also the website on the bottom so that you can access the participating lender list. Thank you again for having me and for allowing me to present on our programs.
Thank you. Well, there's lots of information and we're starting to get some questions. But with everyone's permission, we'll do the question and answer at the end. And hopefully some of the questions that are getting entered into the chat there will be answered by some of the other presentations. Next, we have Alison French-Tubo from the California Pollution Control Financing Authority.
Thank you very much. Oh, pardon me, I do apologize because I don't know that. Here, let me see if I have control now, so I can advance the slides. So CPCFA, we are part of the Treasurer's Office, and we are part of SSBCI, as our partner IBANK mentioned. Usually the first question when I'm meeting people and talking about our small business programs is why pollution control and small business? And the answer is, as a financing authority, we administer a variety of programs to incentivize capital investment in certain things. And the very first one we had was for pollution control. So that's our story. Let's see if I am able to advance now. Oh my gosh, I apologize. I'm not seeing the button. Okay, well, thank you so much. So Megan talked a bit about this, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. I'm just going to go over it. The main thing is that the money is coming in 3 separate tranches divided among these various programs, and ours are the CalCAP Collateral Support and CalCAP for Small Business, which are both for small business. It's just CalCAP for Small Business is the original, and so that's why it has small business in the name. Next slide. So these are the 5 credit enhancement program types under SSBCI, and I will say a common question I hear is, are there grants under SSBCI? And it's kind of a yes and kind of a no. Yes, the money coming from the federal government to the jurisdictions, such as the state of California and other states and tribal, those are grants. But the money is not in grant format beyond that. The goal of it is to leverage public incentive for private financing, with the goal being $10 of new financing for every $1 in SSBCI incentives. SSBCI 2.0 does add some things that were not present in the original. There's allocations for historically underserved groups. One is for very small businesses, those with 10 and fewer employees, and then employees. And then the other is for the acronym is SETI, socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And that does include groups that have experienced racial or ethnic discrimination, cultural bias, people, long-term residents of rural areas, veterans. There are very many categories, but definitely with the goal of getting to a broader group of people than as a whole across the US. And we did pretty well in California with SSBCI 1.0, but there's definitely room for doing even better. Next slide. So I'm going to talk about California Capital Access Programs. I apologize, I left out an S there. So that stands for CalCAP. And so CalCAP is like an umbrella name for us. We actually have 5 programs under it currently, but they all have in common that they incentivize financial institutions to make loans to small businesses by helping those financial institutions manage risk when they make loans to small businesses using 2 types of credit enhancement. One is called loan loss reserve, and the other is collateral support or cash pledge. And most of our programs can also give additional support for loans made to small business borrowers in severely affected communities. That's geographic areas like high unemployment, disaster zone, can also be COVID, other concerns. Next slide. So here's the 5 programs. We're going to look at CalCAP Collateral Support, which is the collateral support mechanism, and then CalCAP for Small Business using Loan Loss Reserve, and CalCAP CARB Truck Loan Assistance. We won't go into CalCAP Americans with Disabilities Act today, except to say that it is to help small businesses make upgrades to their physical space to be compliant with ADA, and that CalCAP Seismic Safety is for helping small businesses and in some cases residential property owners be able to make seismic safety upgrades. Next slide. So this is the brochure for CalCap collateral support. I believe you're going to get this presentation as a packet. So on here, you will be able to see that the business size up to 750 employees, the loan sizes that can be enrolled, and the types of business needs that can cover. This program and CalCap for small business both can cover pretty much all business sectors, except for a few that are excluded by the feds. Cannabis is excluded because it's not legal federally. Businesses with alcohol sales as part of the receipts, there's a limit on what percentage of their receipts can come from alcohol sales. Can't be, I just recently learned this one, it can't be for like tobacco production or preparation, not an escort service, that type of thing. But other than that, pretty much all your business needs, including working capital, including being able to buy a building and construct or renovate it, the space on it. Next slide. This is the process of enrollment. When IBANK, when Megan was talking, she was talking about how they work with the FDCs for the FDCs to package up the loans for them. For CalCap, we do it ourselves. The lenders contact us directly. But the small businesses, you'll see in this diagram, the main part you need to see is small business borrower is in orange and the bank, the participating financial institution, is in green. So that's the primary interaction for this program. And we hope that the small business borrower takes advantage of technical assistance before they go and apply for a loan. But that's the point of interaction for the small business, is with the lenders. Next slide. And similarly, the brochure for CalCap for small business. This is for the smaller loan amounts can go under here. This one doesn't have a floor, so it's as low of an amount as the lender is willing to make. Again, most business needs, most business sectors, and you should be able to see this brochure. Next one. So again, enrollment, this one is a little less complicated, but again, you really just need to be concerned about that as a small business. Hopefully you use technical assistance and then you apply for a loan. And the lender will be doing the underwriting, funding, and dispersing of the loan. Unlike Paycheck Protection, this is not a pool of money for the lenders to lend from. Next slide. And then this is our CalCap CARB truck loan assistance. Unlike the first two we looked at, for one, those first two are part of SSBCI, and then this one is not part of SSBCI. It's funded by the California Air Resources Board, and it's for very specific loan purposes, purchase or in some case lease of air quality compliant heavy equipment for fleets up to 10 vehicles, heavy duty vehicles. This one is going to phase out sometime in 2023, 2024, depending on how long the funding lasts, but there is a pilot program that will be more focused on zero emission technology is being drafted right now. So their CARB will be funding a new program. Next page, and very similar enrollment process here too. So we can go on. And today, so this slide shows sometimes I don't get to be with my partners here from CalOSBA, but they do great work, and they are the primary source of technical assistance for small businesses in California. Sometimes people have questions for me that they think are not technical assistance, but they actually are technical assistance. So technical assistance includes being the process of working through the answers to things like, what documents does the bank want me to have? And the answer is, well, you probably need financial record or accounting records and financial projections, but technical assistance can help you evaluate what you already have and figure out what you need to get. Technical assistance can help you understand the sort of the lending environment, like what can you expect if you're asking for a loan in this range for this type of business. So we really encourage people to take advantage of the small business assistance available to them. And then SSBCI technical assistance is something we get a lot of questions on, and that is a separate funding stream, actually two streams. So one will come from the U.S. Department of Treasury, 25 million allocated specifically for California. but not yet awarded by the U.S. Treasury. CalOSBA is the applicant. And then the U.S. Department of Commerce through the Minority Business Development Agency will be making technical assistance awards, but they have not released an application yet. And then our final slide, or second to final, excuse me. Next one. So you're probably wondering, hey, outreach, if you don't answer technical questions for small businesses, what do you do? We focus on enrolling a large array of financial institutions because that's key to serving lots of Californians. We know that we have financial institutions we've been working with for years and they're doing a great job, but SSBCI gives us more funds than we've ever had to apply to these programs. And so there's a chance for more financial institutions to become involved and receive help managing risk when they loan to small businesses, thus increasing the amount of capital that is available to small businesses. And let's see, again, it has IBANK on here because sometimes we present when they're not able to be there, but SSBCI at treasurer.gov is great if you're wanting to understand how those programs work. CPCFA outreach is great. You know, we would encourage, like I said, wide array of financial institutions. We're working on different ways to reach out to them, but there's nothing like a person-to-person introduction. So if you have any contacts, financial institution in your community, we really encourage you to help us meet them. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us today. It occurs to me as we go through this that, and for our participants online today, the acronyms, the sheer array of acronyms through these programs is can be really intimidating. But we will be sending all of these slides, all of the emails, all of the question and answer out to all the participants today. Along with a survey of what we could do better. So hopefully these acronyms will be less intimidating as we acclimate to them a little bit. This next one is a great one. We have Traci Hukill, I hope I'm pronouncing that one correctly, from the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority. And that is one big, long acronym.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for the kind introduction. And you were very close on my name. I'm Traci Hukill. I'm a marketing specialist with CAEATFA, is how we manage that behemoth there. And today I'm going to tell you about, well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, because we are always trying to we're trying to reach as many people as we can throughout California to let them know about some of our great programs here. And we've been very interested in the Central Valley for a long time. So this is really great for us. I'm going to tell you today about two programs that our financing authority runs. The Go Green Business Energy Financing Program, that's for energy efficiency upgrades. And then the second one is our Sales and Use Tax Exclusion Program. This is to help manufacturers invest in new equipment. There's a tax benefit where they don't have to pay sales tax. So that can definitely be of interest, as we understand. Please advance to the next slide. Okay. So first, we'll go with Go Green Business Energy Financing. This is the one I work with most closely. Go Green Business, we call it for short. What do? We exist in order to help small and medium-sized businesses make energy efficiency improvements. I'll go into what that means, but basically anything that uses energy, anything that you plug in, or pipe in because it's natural gas, we help you use less of it so you can manage your energy costs. And we're leveraging private capital. As you heard Alison explain very nicely, I thought we're helping financial institutions mitigate risk so that it's less risky for them to lend to you and to lend at better rates and terms, and to lend to in some cases, folks who might have a harder time accessing credit for whatever reason. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. So what is it? It's attractive financing for energy efficiency improvements. projects can range from $5,000 up to $5 million. Through the program, our participating finance companies are offering lower interest rates, longer terms. They're offering traditional loans and leases, but also different types of products where you can, sometimes they're cash flow positive, right? So that what you're paying for your loan or your lease is less than what you're saving, right? So that you're coming out, in the black every month. And we're now offering on-bill repayment. Now that is going to go live for PG&E customers this spring. We're not quite there with PG&E yet, but coming very soon. And that's a very nice convenience and can have some potential tax advantages. You'd want to consult with a tax professional on that one. So who's it for? Anyone who's a utility customer of one of the 4 big IOUs. So PG&E, SoCal Gas, SoCal Edison, San Diego Gas and Electric. We do have some eligibility requirements around size and revenue limits, and you can see those on our website, and some are listed here. And then the last 3 bullets there kind of point out one of the benefits of our program, which is that kind of expansion of credit to folks who might have a hard time accessing it, right? So tenants, not just building owners, but tenants can also access financing for making improvements to their place of business. Industries like cannabis growers and processors, they can access credit through our program. Nonprofits, houses of worship. Nobody wants to foreclose on nobody wants to foreclose on a church, but so and that is sort of a high risk situation for some lenders, but it's possible through our program. And also young businesses, new businesses, right? You're not totally established just yet, but you can get financing for energy improvements. Okay, next slide, please. And what are the kinds of energy efficiency improvements you can make? Well, there are quite a lot. So first up, we're not talking about new energy. We're not talking about solar panels. We're just talking about the things you plug in that use energy, and we will help you invest in equipment that uses less of it. So that would be lighting. For agriculture, that would be like fans or well and booster pumps. In a building, HVAC, a cool roof, insulation, windows, water heating, your restaurant equipment if you're running a restaurant, that type of thing. Some of the financing can go for non-energy improvements. So that can be like remodeling, like you can put that in if you have a restaurant. You can do a little bit of remodeling or some landscaping out front. And you can combine our financing with utility rebates and incentives. And there's a lot of that around right now, and more and more coming online through the Inflation Reduction Act and so forth. So something to keep your eye on. And if you're thinking about making upgrades, the next couple of years are going to be a really good time to do that, I think. I included some examples of projects that we did in your general neighborhood. So that we did a dairy in Hanford, and they got some lighting and variable frequency drive pumps. And then there was a brewery actually in Fresno, but I wasn't able to make contact with them, so I didn't want to just say their name, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind. Anyway, they financed a process heat recovery system, which is a very cool way of sort of grabbing and using heat from the production process and saving energy in that way. So we want to do a lot more projects in Fresno County and Central Valley. Please advance to the next slide. So a question that we get a lot is like, what's the catch? Like, how does this work? And again, going back to what Alison explained very, very nicely, we have a credit enhancement. We are providing a credit enhancement for the finance companies and making it possible for them to offer better rates, better terms, longer payback period, which makes your monthly payment more affordable, right? And there's no property lien. This is not like PACE financing, if you're familiar with that. I do want to draw your attention to the fact that coming up next month, we are going to be running a promotion with interest rates as low as 0%. That is going to vary by project. Depends on the size of the project. If it's a somewhat small project, yes, you can probably get very close to 0%. If it's a huge project, probably not going to get all the way down to 0%. But again, we're really working to make this a good time for people to make energy efficiency improvements, help clean up our air, manage your own costs, have them be somewhat predictable, right? What's not to love there? Next slide, please. We have a consumer-facing website, gogreenfinancing.com. You can find out a lot there. You can find a participating contractor. You can find a participating finance company and get it approved fairly quickly just by going to our website. It's a great place to start. Next slide. Thank you very much. So on to our sales and use tax exclusion program. You may have heard the treasurer note that there have been like $18 million in sales and use tax exclusions in Fresno County. And those have supported something on the order of $220 million worth of equipment upgrades for manufacturers. That's just a little piece of context for you. They're locally. This program makes it possible for manufacturers to invest in new equipment that is itself more efficient or is used in the creation of efficient, clean energy or clean industry, right? And the manufacturer would not have to pay sales tax on that investment if awarded a sales and use tax exclusion. Now, typically, it's an 8 to 10% savings off of purchases is kind of how that works out. And so it's a shorthand way of thinking about that. Now, the size of awards can range from quite small, 25,000. We've done sales tax exclusions that small, right? It's all relative. They can also go all the way up to $20 million. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the kinds of industries that are pathways for applying for these. For one, $15 million of our sales tax exclusions are designated for supporting lithium extraction and recovery. Now, I don't think that that's happening so much in Fresno, but I guess you never know, right? I'm going to go now to the four main pathways. You see those 4 blocks over there on the right. So recyclers, big time recyclers are often represent many of the recipients of these exclusion awards. These are companies that process recycled feedstock or use recycled feedstock in the production of another kind of product. So it's materials recovery facilities, composters, carpet recyclers, that type of thing. Alternative source. Now that means producers of fuel or an energy that replaces a fossil fuel source. So dairy digesters, right? If you're making solar panels there, or you're making biofuels, you've got to be creating an alternative source of fuel, right? Third category, advanced manufacturing. Here we're looking to see if the upgrade, the new equipment, is going to help use fewer resources, less energy, less water, or it's producing less waste. We're looking for those kinds of benefits here. It's an advanced, sustainable process that we're trying to support there. And then the final category is fairly self-explanatory: advanced transportation, EV manufacturers, charging stations, the batteries, electric aircraft, what have you. Now, this is a very popular program. We have we see a lot of interest and participation in it. We see lots of applications every year. We're generally oversubscribed from the time of the first application deadline, which happens in January. So we're kind of figuring that has happened already. We're in the process of going through and figuring out who which projects to award. So the thing to do there, if you're interested, is think about this as a long-term opportunity. Go to treasurer.ca.gov/CAEATFA and sign up for notifications so you know when it's coming next, right? And you can plan and get that application. Okay, and I think that about covers it. Next slide is just my contact information. Traci Hukill. I can, if I can't answer your question, I can find somebody who will. Don't be a stranger. Please reach out. We love questions, and we love to get engaged. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Traci. There's so much information being presented here today. I love it. Next up, we have Carolina Hernandez from CalSavers.
Thank you very much, Scott. Good morning, almost afternoon, everybody. I'm Carolina Hernandez. I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the CalSavers Retirement Savings Board. I will try to be very brief with you today. I know it's just myself and another presenter holding you before your lunch. So I'm going to give you a really brief session on what CalSavers is. And CalSavers is California's retirement savings program. It was created for the millions of Californians who do not have a way to save for retirement at their workplace. So today I'm going to be touching on the state's retirement mandate and how California is working to address the retirement savings access gap. Next slide, please. I like to start off with some statistics of the financial landscape of California. Currently, nearly half of Californians are projected to retire into economic hardship. That's if we can retire at all. We believe that a key driver of that fact is that there's about 7.5 million Californians. It's a little closer to 8 million now, who lack access to a workplace retirement option. And we believe that this is particularly important because research shows that when we have access to a payroll deduction retirement plan, we are 15 times more likely to be saving and be on a path towards retirement security. This increases to 20 times more likely if that program features automatic enrollment. Next slide, please. So knowing that the best way to get people saving and on a path towards retirement security is through the workplace, the California legislature created a new employer mandate for businesses who are not currently offering qualified retirement plans to their employees. And as of the beginning of this year, so as of 2023, that mandate states that California businesses with an average of at least just one employee who is age 18 or older, and that employee is not the owner of the business, must register for CalSavers and facilitate their employees access to the program. Now, before 2023, that mandate covered businesses who averaged at least 5 employees. But Assembly Bill 1126 went into effect at the beginning of the year, and it expanded eligibility to just 1 employee. So what that means is that employers who already have a plan, you're going to be exempt from the mandate. Employers who start applying by their designated deadline are going to be exempt as well. And those employers who want a simple and free way to comply with the mandate can register for CalSavers. Now, to determine business eligibility, we receive your business information from EDD. They provide us with the number of employees that you report out to them for a full calendar year. We then average those numbers out from January to December to determine your eligibility. Eligibility is not going to be based on how many employees you have today, but an average of the previous year. For your employee eligibility, we are counting all of your employees who have California W-2 wages, who are age 18 or older and have either a Social Security or an ITIN. This is going to include all of your full-time, your part-time, your seasonal, and any H-2A workers that you might have as well. Owners and officers, if you are reporting yourself as employees of the business to EDB, you are also included in that count towards the average for eligibility. So all employees who meet these criteria must be given the opportunity to participate in CalSavers. We also like to mention that we are not intended to replace or compete with any existing employer-sponsored plans. The goal here is to really increase participation in the overall market and not just in CalSavers. Next slide, please. So let's talk about eligibility and registration deadlines in a little bit more detail. Every spring, we receive fresh information from EDD, and it tells us how many employees you reported for the previous calendar year. And we use that to calculate your average number of employees. If we determine that you're an eligible business, then you're subject to the mandate, and we begin sending you notices both by email and paper mail to let you know that you need to register. Now, businesses who are identified as averaging at least 5 employees, you're going to have until the end of the calendar year to register. So your deadline will be the December 31st of the year that you are notified of your eligibility. As I mentioned earlier, as of 2023, SB 1126 expanded that mandate, and it's now including businesses averaging 1 to 4 employees, but those businesses are going to have a little bit more time to register. They're going to have a compliance deadline of December 31st, 2025. Businesses who have missed their deadlines, you will be receiving enforcement notices, and you should register as soon as possible to avoid any penalties. So if this is you, please connect with our employer assistance line, or you can connect with me after today's presentation. Once your business is in compliance, then that penalty will no longer apply. I also like to mention that CalSavers is also open for individual registration. So that means that employees of non-mandated employers, any contractors out there and self-employed individuals, you can also register for CalSavers at calsavers.com or on the CalSavers app. Next slide, please. Here we're going to quickly go over some of the key employer features that we had in mind when we were creating the program. When the legislation passed, that was originally in 2016, one of the very first things that we did was to engage a group of stakeholders that represented both the employer community as well as the interest of consumers. We wanted to know what were the obstacles on the existing market that were making it difficult for businesses to offer retirement savings to their employees. And there were 3 particular hurdles that employers reported. It was the administrative burden, the fees, and the fiduciary liability. So CalSavers was designed to address all 3 of those issues. We designed the program to be as easy as possible to facilitate, and facilitating just means registering by your deadline and setting up your account, adding all of those eligible employees, and then sending contributions to the program. There are no program fees for employers, so no cost for employers to join. And because employers are not sponsoring the program, they do not have any fiduciary liability. The board that I work for, the treasurer who you heard from at the beginning of the presentation, and all of the contractors are the fiduciaries of the program. So when designing the features for the participants, we wanted to make it pretty simple for them to use. They are automatically enrolled at work and can, of course, opt out of participating if they wish to. We have standard settings, or they can customize their account by selecting their contribution percentage and investment options. The accounts are portable, which is something that's specific to CalSavers. They can go with them from job to job. So if they leave your company, go work for another employer, they can continue to save into the same CalSavers account. So it's not going to be tied to you as the employer, but it is connected to them individually. And finally, they do pay a small fee to participate, which covers the administrative costs for CalSavers. It's a pretty low fee, and it's definitely competitive compared to other small business plans out there. Next slide, please. Here's going to be some important contact information for CalSavers. We have a really robust website with some really great downloadable information that you can share. We have all of that available in the top 10 most spoken languages in California. That was really important of us to be able to access so many languages, knowing the diversity of the state. We have a wonderful call center with lines that are dedicated both to employers and to employees, and we have representatives who speak English and Spanish. We also have a translation service for any additional language needs that you might have. And we also have a really fantastic on-site support team. We have representatives that are based throughout California who work hand in hand with employers and their employees. I think there might be some other chambers in our audience, and we have worked with many chambers throughout California as well in the past, bringing this information directly to their members. We're happy to work with you as well. We also have standing webinars on a weekly basis, both for employers as well as participants at no cost. And you are all welcome to register so that you can learn a little bit more in detail about CalSavers. We do have those on a weekly basis. We have employer and employee webinars in both English and Spanish, as well as Mandarin and Cantonese. That wraps up my presentation. I will hand it back over to you, Scott.
Thank you so much. That really demystified a lot of the CalSavers program. Next up, we have Victor Bribiesca from the US SBA. Thanks for being with us, Victor.
Morning, Scott. Good to meet you. Good to meet everybody else on the panel. I'll make this quick. I know everybody's hungry. And so we're going to talk about what we do here at the SBA and the partners and the resources we provide to everybody in our area. We cover 15 counties in the Central Valley, but we do have offices nationwide, including our territories. So what we want to do is we want to show you and share with you the different resources, whether it be technical assistance, lending, and of course, disaster assistance with all these rains and flooding that's going on. We're waiting for a declaration to occur so that then we can provide services to the small business community. Next slide, please. And so SBA has a huge partner network. They are approved and funded by the SBA. 1,400 partner agencies nationwide. We'll cover those here in the next few slides as to who they are and what they do. Next slide, please. The first one, everybody had mentioned California or local SBDCs. The closest one to Fresno is Valley Community SBDC. They provide free business consulting and low-cost training on different types of topics. When I mean by business consulting, you're talking about consultants that are paid for by the SBDC that's funded by SBA, whether it be CPA assistance, accounting, business plan building, or preparing for a loan, all the different types of resources or needs that your business may have, whether to start up, grow, or expand, you can get them at the SBDC. Next slide, please. SCORE is a mentorship and advice volunteer service. They provide real business executives that are currently active in the industry or retired from the industry. They do provide assistance and mentoring, free online workshops and webinars, but more importantly, they also on their website, if you go to centralvalleyscore.org, they do have a lot of templates that you can use to get your business plan running, your financials. If you need to understand financials and what they do, you definitely want to make an appointment with them. But again, all these resources that I'm going to share with you today are free of cost. All you have to do is give them a call, sign up for their services or their webinars, and you can get the services for the needs of your business. Next slide, please. Veterans Business Outreach Centers provide counseling and transition assistance to our service members. Whether you're already out of the service, retired, or actively in the service, you can still get the services from the Veteran Business Outreach Centers. We also provide training and advice to help start, grow your business. We also provide resources to purchase a new business or a franchise. We also do resource referrals depending on what it is that your needs are. We can get you to the right folks. Again, Veteran Business Outreach Centers, we do provide assistance to the veterans as well as the military spouses. Next slide, please. The Women's Entrepreneur Center or Women's Business Center, as they're otherwise known, also provide counseling, training, assistance, and advice. And they also help with government certifications. A lot of folks, and we'll cover this in the next few slides, that want to sell to the government, don't know how to or don't know how to get certified. We can help you with that, whether it be with the Women's Business Center, Business Outreach Centers, or SBDCs. We can get those certifications to you and show you how to sell to the government and how to get those government contracts. A lot of these names that you see, Women's Business Center or Veteran Business Outreach Centers, does not mean that you as a business owner or entrepreneur cannot go to them and get the services from them. All they are is their focus is primarily on veterans or women entrepreneurs. However, if you have a business and you need assistance, you can always go to them and get the services, again, at no cost to you. Next slide, please. You can contact us here at the Fresno District Office. Follow us on Twitter. We do have, as I mentioned, offices nationwide. We do cover 15 counties of California, Central Valley, as well as the Central Coast and the Mountain areas. We have SBDCs, WECs, we have Veteran Business Outreach Centers all across our district that can help you, or we can go to you. So whatever your needs are to get your business up and running, expand, or grow, give us a call and we can put you in contact with the right resource, or we can help you directly. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, are you ready for federal contracting? And we're not talking just about federal contracting. We're also talking about state contracting, a CPUC, and or local contracting. So a lot of the times businesses want to sell to the governments and don't know how to, and they don't know what the process is, what the certifications are for, but we are the world's largest customer we buy all kinds of different products and services, and we're always looking for them. We are required by law to provide contract opportunities to small businesses, and we do set aside contracts for women-owned small businesses, veteran, disabled veteran small businesses, as well as minority-owned small businesses. So you can give us a call, reach out to one of our colleagues at the resource centers, and they can definitely help you get the process started. Next slide, please. To qualify for federal contracts, you need certifications, as I mentioned. These are the four most sought after certifications: 8A Business Development Program, HubZone, a Women-Owned Small Business, or WOSB, and Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Program. All these certifications are also free, no cost to you. They have different purposes and different uses. And yes, you can get multiple certifications. If you're a women-owned small business, but also served in the military, you can also get the Veteran Service Disabled owned program and be part of the 8A Business Development Program all at the same time. So it doesn't cost you anything. And yes, you can stack the certifications. The more certifications, the more opportunities. Give us a call, shoot us an email, and we can get you certified, again, at no cost to you. Next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about capital. We do have a lot of programs when it comes to lending and getting financing to your business. So we're going to cover a little bit of the basics. That way, we don't take too much of your time covering all the different programs, but we'll cover the very basics of our programs. Next slide, please. Microloans and SBA loans, we do provide different types. We provide large loans, small loans, loans for equipment and inventory. We also provide loans for real estate. It all depends on your needs. The difference between us and the banks is that us, just like a lot of the partners here today, we actually help the banks feel better, give them that confidence for them to feel that need to lend that money out to you as a small business. So a lot of the programs that we use the banks to help us fund those. We work with all the national banks, with all the regional banks, community banks, and CDFIs here locally. We do have CDCs. The CDCs are the ones that actually help you get the real estate type of loans, whether it be construction, land, property, or property that already has a building, you can convert it over to a business type of use. We do have competitive terms, meaning that we have better rates, and we do also have longer term limits. For any type of real estate, we're looking at 20 to 30 years. And we also have lower down payments with flexible overhead requirements. And more importantly, as I mentioned, we do have counseling and education, or the term in this particular presentation has been technical assistance. So all of these things we can share with you, prepare you for, that way you get that loan that you need. Next slide, please. One of the easiest ways for you to get a loan, or to get more information on how to get a loan, but save time, effort, and money, is to go to sba.gov/LenderMatch. LenderMatch is a really good program that was created in order for you, the borrower, to reach out to as many lenders as possible without actually going to the lenders in person. Two, it also prevents the lenders to pull your credit report every single time you submit an application. And so what this does, it allows you to create one application, send it to multiple lenders nationwide, all the national chains, all the regional banks, all the local banks, as well as CDFIs and CDCs, depending on, of course, what the use of the loan is. Once the application is submitted, you will receive a reply within 72 hours of all the banks that are interested in working with you. And still at this point in time, your credit report has not been pulled, and therefore you don't have any of your credit reports affecting your credit score. So this is a great way to start the process. It's also a great way to save time, money, and effort in trying to get a loan for your business. Next slide, please. For those businesses that are ready to expand your customer base and looking to do business worldwide, you can give us a call. We do help with international trade and exporting. We do look at the type of business you're in and the type of businesses that are looking to import your products or services worldwide. So if you're ready to look at the world as a customer base, give us a call and we can connect you with a lot of the different resources, get your business ready for exporting, as well as funding should your company need any type of funding to meet the needs of the clients anywhere in the world. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, right now with the different types of disasters that are occurring, especially here in California with the flooding, the snow, we do provide disaster assistance. The very first thing that we're looking at and that we need in order to provide services is a disaster declaration from the President of the United States or the Administrator of the Small Business Administration. As soon as those come in, we're able to provide those types of services over to both residential customers as well as business customers. What we do is we come in after FEMA or at FEMA at the same time. We open up a disaster assistance center in the area of which the disaster occurred. And we do cover real estate, personal property, economic injury, any type of machinery and equipment that was damaged or lost, as well as inventory. And we do have special programs for active duty personnel. Next slide, please. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call here at the Fresno District Office. We're more than happy to help you and serve you. With that, Scott, back to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Victor. There was one question in the chat about does the SBA finance cannabis-related businesses?
We do have the opportunity to help finance cannabis, yes. However, we do look at the type of cannabis. I know there's always that great fine line of cannabis and marijuana, THC concentration and things like that, but there are and have been cases which we have provided assistance to cannabis-related industries. For more information, or if you have deeper inside questions and details about the programs, please feel free to give us a call. We can get you there.
Thank you very much. And there were quite a few questions that were answered in the Q&A. We will, as I mentioned, we'll make those available to everybody who participated today. We will also make all of the contact information for all of the presenters available to everyone today. So on that note, we've gone a little bit long, but it was absolutely worth it. The information was great. Hopefully it provided a little bit of a flavor of some of the many, many programs that are available to small business through the state. Thank you so much to all of the panelists, to everybody who participated. Thanks to Mayor Dyer. Thank you to Treasurer Ma. And as always, thank you to Mariah Walton and our partners at Noble Credit Union for underwriting this important program at the Chamber of Commerce. So thanks again.